It's a new year. It is a new year. Welcome to 2021. Are you looking for a new you? Are you looking for ways to cope? Do you know if you even coping with what's going on in life? Is there a void? Do you feel lonely even when you are amongst friends? Do those friends treat you as if you're not as valuable as they are? I know, lots of questions. Hold tight because we're going to bring lots of answers in today's episode. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is the first episode of Am I Crazy? The mental health show with your mental health professional. So, after a quick break, we're going to bring our very first guest. And oh, how so special this first guest is. It's my own son, Kevin Bell Jr. So you guys will get to hear his journey while getting to learn more about me. Be right back. Do you have a story to tell? Wait. We all have a story to tell. If you are ready to tell your story as it relates to your mental health and the journey, the struggle, the management, the awareness, the lack thereof, we want you at Am I Crazy with LaShasta Bell. And what about sponsorship? Oh, thanks for asking. Because there's also the opportunity for sponsorship. Do you have a product? Do you have an event that you want to shout to the world? If so, check out our sponsorship. Same place as the guest forum. See you soon. I'm so excited, son, for you to be my first guest on this amazing show where we're just going to journey through mental health. And I know that initially you were like, I don't know. But when I explained the premise of the show, you were like, I'm in. And at 15 years old, how does mental health register for you? Like, what does it mean for you when we say mental health?
Well, I mean, when you say mental health, for me personally, it's just like it's something that's almost always brought up in this generation. Like, I know back when you were raised and my dad was raised, it wasn't such a huge thing, especially considering where y'all were raised. But in this generation where I live, the people I'm surrounded by, it's kind of a huge thing. It's normalized, to be honest. You know, depression, PTSD, all of those things have to do with mental issues. It's normalized.
Nice. And that's the whole premise of the show. We're trying to get everybody where you guys are. So what you're telling me is your generation ready with the mental health and the rest of us need to catch up.
A little bit. I mean, we still have trouble with it because we are still kids, but it's definitely a little bit more, I guess, natural, I guess.
Okay. What makes it natural for you? Like, what makes it everyday conversation for you as a young black man?
I mean, just looking at it as me as African American, just we can go base with it. No past traumas, nothing about me. Just me as an African American man. There's already some baggage that immediately comes with that, especially growing up in America. I mean, I know where I live. We know where we live and what can happen here and what does happen here and what still has been happening for so long. That type of trauma just it automatically comes onto you.
Gotcha. How do you wear it? Like, what does it feel like? Because I'm your mom. I only know and have access to so much because I know there are things that I'll know when you're 21 or 25 or the day you get married. Look, no doubt. I did the same thing with my mom. Some things you just don't need to know till I'm grown enough to say them and be able to duck, right?
Yeah.
So for you in middle class America, let's just be honest, there are more kids that don't look like you than that do. how do you navigate things?
I wear it like a badge. I wear it with pride, honestly, because when I was younger, I used to try to fit in. I used to like change my vocabulary, the way I said things, even the way I wore, like my clothes and all that. You know, I changed everything to try to fit their criteria. The elementary school I went to, as you know, this is just off top, just off of what I remember. I want to say at least like 85% white, 90% white. That's including staff, kids, everyone. You
You're
know what I'm
right.
saying? And I changed myself based off of that. And as I got into middle school and started seeing more diverse, more diversity in the school,
Yeah.
I was like, man, you told me all that stuff I did, I really didn't have to do? Bet. So I just started to get into my own roots, started to do what I really liked, started to find what I really like, you know?
Gotcha. And you mentioned middle school. I mean, back up, elementary school. And I know that there was some struggles with your mental health and in wellness. So that you had some struggles around 8 or 9 with some suicidal thoughts and some self-injury. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, honestly, it's not, it's, I can't really, how do I explain this? It was a lot. It was a lot. I was being bullied heavily. And from what I can remember, it's playing football, you get hits to the head, you forget. Man, sometimes I don't remember what I ate for breakfast.
Look, I'm with you. ADHD
Yeah,
is real,
yeah.
but that's a whole nother show, right? A whole nother show.
But I remember getting heavily bullied because the fact that it was 90% white, and most of them are Caucasian, but most of them didn't even realize that they were excluding me or bullying me. It's just the little things. I always like to. I forgot who said this, but little cuts hurt more than the big ones. 1,000 little cuts are worse than one big one. That's what I go by. And it's just those everyday things that they didn't really mean to do, but they did, and it stacks up and it builds up like an avalanche. And in the end, it did hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. And there were some suicidal thoughts. There were a lot of suicidal tendencies. Luckily that I, got to cope with eventually. But back then, it's not that I knew what I was doing exactly. I just knew that I don't want to feel this anymore. I want to feel something else. And that's what came out.
Gotcha. And back then, we didn't know. Like, as your mom and as a therapist, to find this out recently is like, oh my goodness, like I'm helping kids at elementary as a school counselor. I'm doing therapy with young kids, and my own child suffered in silence, basically. What made it difficult to share at 8 and 9 versus being able to share now at 15?
Well, the thing is, you were the school counselor, right? And everyone loved you. Like everyone. You were the golden example of what you want to be when you grow up. And as your son, I realized that. Before all the kids did, I realized that. And I'm like, yo, if she's up here looking so great and so perfect, I can't be falling apart. So to try to like benefit you, which hurt me in the end, but to try to benefit you, I tried to pull everything together, pull all the strings together, put myself back together as best as I knew at that age, just to show like a better image as us, as a more complete family, as us like a duo,
Gotcha. The goofy duo, like we coming through making jokes and things, and I get that. And a lot of us experience that pressure of having to be perfect or having to perform, and it's self-induced, right? Mm-hmm. Because as you know now, fast forward some years later, where you have understanding that there are more imperfect things in our family than perfect things, right? Yeah. Like we make the imperfections, we take them and do the best we can. And we all show up and go to therapy. Yeah. When your appointment, let me make sure it don't conflict with my appointment. Kind of thing. And so how has it been now at 15, because we're talking 8, 9 years old, so that's 6, 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. What's the journey been like to the space that you're in now?
Well, honestly, when I was around, I've been playing football my whole life, but when I was 5 through about 9, it was just for the fun. But after a while, I took all that aggression, all that pain, and I put it out on the field, which of course made me perform better because football is a very physical sport. But after a while, I learned that it doesn't just take out my aggression and my pain and my sadness. It's just something I can use to cope. So after a while, once the self-harm ended at 9. All right, that's when it stopped. I mean, cold turkey. And football really helped with that. But as I got older and older, I found new ways to cope. I got better at football. I started playing other sports. I'm like, man, this helps. Then I started writing poems and music, and that helped me even more, And I forgot her. I think her name was like Miss Cooker or something. Miss Coker.
Miss Coker. Miss Coker. Yeah. Shout out to Miss Coker,
shout out Miss
third
Coker.
grade teacher.
Shout out Miss Coker. But she really helped me figure out that, without her even knowing. She was my ELA teacher. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She was one of my favorite teachers because she's like, you really got to think for this. Like, I think she saw something that most teachers didn't see in a 4th, 5th grader. She saw potential. She saw pain. She saw a dialect that wasn't really used in that age group. That's really what's been happening. That's
nice.
it. It's just
and she nourished it. Because she was the one that told you. Hard work beats talent if talent fails to work hard.
Yeah.
Promoting a higher standard of life and style through the art of lifestyle with Sabrina Cross.
Got a big void in my soul. Genius. Hey. Just numbing it, all of this pain, I stomach it. All these losses, can I get a win? Don't know when, I'll find her again. Blowing the wind, got a glass fist with a stone chin. She's just a friend, that's what we are, always in the end. Like when will it end? 1 month relationships, that's the new trend. I can't believe it. Swipe left on Tinder, that's a new chick. Taking pictures, yeah, Polaroid it. Attachment so strong, yeah, I roid it. Now I think it's so clear, Android. Got a big void in my soul. Shattered into pieces, trying to make me whole. Ever since her heart cold like cold. Can you warm it up when we're at home? Got a big void in my soul. Shattered into pieces, trying to make me whole. Ever since her heart cold like cold. Can you warm it up when we're at home? Lot of trauma in my life, yeah, take a toll. So I'ma get high when I'm at my low. And that doesn't help, so I get hoe. But one chick got my heart like sold. Call her a chef, cause for her I fold. My mama in the back like, yeah, I told you not to mess with the old you. I'm happy you moved on from the old you. Love how your mama always support you, but that never fixed what hurt you. People together gotta flourish too. No matter the void, it's gon' disturb. Got a big void in my soul. Shattered into pieces, trying to make me whole. Ever since her heart cold like cold. Can you warm it up when we're at home? Got a big void in my soul. Shattered into pieces, trying to make me whole. Ever since her heart cold like cold. Can you warm it up when we're at home? Big hole in my soul, still all smiles though. Mentally broken in the therapist file, whoa. Mentally unspoken, on my worst pile up. Looking for my girl, searched all the wrong aisles, no. Got her the world, guess I was too slow. We'll be better off as friends, that's a low blow. Trying to make amends before the night goes. Tying all loose ends before emotion show. Looking at her pictures in my phone. She don't want me, something I know. Surrounded by friends, still feeling alone. Surrounded by meds when I feel low. Got a big void in my soul. Shattered into pieces, trying to make me whole. Ever since her heart cold like cold. Can you warm it up when we're at home? Got a big void in my soul. Shattered into pieces, trying to make me whole. Ever since her heart cold like cold. Can you warm it up when we're at home?
We offer face-to-face and virtual counseling throughout the state of Texas. www.ichoosemecounseling.com. That was so amazing, son. I can't tell you how proud I am that you chose to use writing as an outlet. And so with that, I know that some of what you sing is a figment of your imagination, so to speak, and some is a reflection of your pain place. We would love for you to share in that song, what do you feel like it was a reflection of a pain place that you have been in or are in?
Well, there's a couple bars in there. I'm gonna hold you short. There's a glass fist with a stone chin, for an example, showing that I've taken a lot. I've taken a lot and marked it off as, oh, they're just playing. You know, so many people, so many friends and friend groups bully one friend without even noticing it. And the friend feels it, but he always marks it off, or he or she marks it off as, oh, they're just playing. You know, I never really dish anything back. So glass fist with a stone chin means that you could take a lot, but when it comes to dishing it, you rather not. You rather just just take it.
Gotcha. And so you took a lot from friends, frenemies.
Yeah.
You know, I know that that's a term that sometimes we will reserve more for females, but it happens in the male population too. And that's basically what you're sharing, is that as a young black man in the society that you're in, that you've had friends that took shots at you knowingly and sometimes unknowingly. But of course, you held it all in. And over time, holding it in created spaces that you didn't like to be in. Fast forward to 15, is that still an issue? If so, how do you manage it? You say you write, what else happens or do you do?
Well, it doesn't really happen at this age anymore because I've learned to kind of get away from that, you know. Because when I was younger, I was really dependent on those friends. Because not only in elementary, I'm clinging on to popularity and my self-image, so I'm hanging on to other people. Then moving into a new school, I'm automatically trying to hang on to these new friends that I found, just people to be around, so I'm not constantly alone in that dark, dark place. But as I started to get older and started to get friends of my own, friends that I could really call friends that weren't just so I don't fall back into that dark void, so to speak, it became easier to be myself. It became less dependent and me being more independent. So it doesn't really happen to me anymore. And when it does, and when I do see it happen, I remove myself because I don't need that anymore. I don't need to take that anymore.
Okay, good for you. I mean, protect your energy is what you sound like you're saying. Basically, I'm good with me. I've identified who I am and whose I am and what I enjoy. So I don't need to pretend. I don't need to fit in. I allow my friends to fit around me. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff, son. I mean, who taught you that? No, seriously, along your journey, what would you say outside, externally, because we've been talking internally, and you've done amazing work of finding your space internally. What has your support look like externally to be able to produce?
Oh, well, I mean, y'all, of course, you and Pops, they give me a lot of support. My cousin Jalen, Jada, my aunties, and some of my other close friends that I consider family are always just giving me this positive energy, but very real energy, you know? There's a difference between just positive energy and realistic, real energy, you know? I'd rather have someone who will tell it to me real every single time than someone who's just optimistic, you know? Because optimism is fiction to a certain extent. When you're real 100% of the time. And it might hurt sometimes, but that's how life is, you know? And that's really just been what's been boosting me, what's been keeping me up every day, keeping me getting out of bed, everything.
Okay, so family support, community, the friends that's like family, and just extending yourself in that space and allowing them to keep it 100,
yeah,
basically. But at the same time, to be able to find that balance of, okay, when I'm feeling this space, this is the person I can go and talk to. When I'm feeling this is the person I can go and talk to. Okay, cool. So, if there was one thing that you wanted to leave with the audience or share with our audience, what would it be?
To learn how to cope. To learn how to cope immediately. Like I'm not a therapist. I'm just some 15-year-old kid, you know, don't really know much about the world. Better yet, psychology. But all I know is that coping helps so much. I personally think coping can help better than any medication, than any therapist. Because not only are you doing it yourself and finding it yourself, you feel better because you're like, man, so I can do this. I can do this alone. Which it's not always great to be alone, but knowing that you can do something by yourself gives you that sense of safety in yourself and in your own being. So I would say find your way to cope. And if you can't find it within a couple of days, keep searching. You know, it took me a couple of years to find what I was really doing to help me cope. You know, I was using my coping mechanism without even knowing, you know? And at one point in time, that's the only thing that's keeping me going. That's the only thing keeping me alive. And I'm only like, what, 9 or 10? Not even in my teenage years yet.
Yeah.
So learn how to cope. That's all I got.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. So, like the young Mr. Bell has shared, learning how to cope and being aware of what you're using to cope and coping in a positive way that's uplifting, that's independent, internal is the best thing that you could do for yourself. Thanks again for coming, son. I appreciate you. I love you to the moon and back. And so long. We'll see you guys next week, Monday at 12.